All right, so it's a little early because we technically have one more round tomorrow, but Wub is
Yeah.
guaranteed into top cut, and he is playing the best Rodan list in the entire room. So let's take a peek at that.
I mean, I do think so, but yeah.
Everyone thinks so.
It's
Yeah.
known, yes.
Yeah. So I'm playing all mids Rodan. Yeah.
There it is.
I'll just go through the foundations first.
Yeah.
So I have to do them this way. For floating, it's a +4 block mod, and it started at 2 in this deck, and I realized I just always want 1, maybe 2 of it, because it just gets you to the look at top 4 more quickly. So this card's insane. Number 10 Pro Hero, checks a 6. Cards that check a 6 are really good in this deck, because once you look at top 4, you can put the 6 like 3rd or 4th or something, and just check a 6 when you don't have to necessarily commit, which is really, really good.
Giro F.
Yeah. That's all on the zeros. On the ones, full on attack mode. Sometimes you need the extra damage, deadlock out.
It's also good for putting your high block mods that you have in play on the top card of your discard.
Yeah. Daunting Message. It's just kind of like a don't hit me card. 2 low block is helpful sometimes. This is technology that only all Rodan gets to play. Well, I guess, other commit characters, but the other Rodan symbols don't have this. Just commit for -3 speed, which is pretty cool. This card is okay. It checks a 6. It's basically just there as like kind of stun hate, but it's not amazing. But the 6 check matters a lot, so I run it. Draw spam, we've got Settling Old Debts and Chivalrous. Would love to find space for the 4th, but that's just kind of where we're at.
Your attack lineup, as we'll see later, does a decent job of just drawing cards anyway. So
Yeah.
you can share the load.
And then on 2 diffs, there's 2 hacker, +4 block mod, deals with assets, something to do with momentum when you don't have like a powerful outlet. Which
Die,
we'll see
mimic,
later.
die.
Yes, we hate that.
Kill your darlings.
3 split body control. This card is just really good at selectively flipping something when they try and play defense against you. A lot of people would posture to block something, and that just let me know that I could easily turn off some important defensive piece. So that card's really good. 4 always cool. I had this at 2 or 3 copies and realized that the block mod, the response, the enhance, everything about this card is just ridiculous. You can C2 attacks and then build them both with Rodan if you need to block. Like there are just so many useful modes for this card that I definitely wanted it for.
Yeah, you also have to run like some amount of reasonable block mods in Rodan, besides the ones that just give minus and plus speed.
You want a mix of like 1s and 2s and then 4s. The 3s are fine too, but like the 4s are really good. And then I mean this card is just insane in Rodan.
Yes, it's broken. Kill your
Particularly
opponent.
all symbol, because you can hide it lower in your discard and then remove it with other effects.
True.
Which the other symbols don't really have as easy access to. I mean, Void is incubating, but
Yeah, but floating around my babies really just carries a lot of weight.
yeah, we like damage here.
It's true.
Spooky, this card can blank an attack with Rodan, which is really nice. Vast Strength, I have one on the sideboard as well, but it's just kind of a good defensive all piece.
Did it come up much in tournament?
I used it on, I think like a lightning rod, a couple things. There were some decks where I didn't want to debuild for the effect, so even though it would have been good there, I just didn't want it there. But also, 4 checks aren't great in this deck because you kind of have to use your draw effects on them sometimes, because you see it and you know you're not checking the 5, so like I don't want a ton of those in here.
Right.
The last 2 is Urmeshi and Pass-Through Walls. This card just allows you to build, and with any momentum say I'm going to just like choose a custom card from my discard and beat you with it.
Right, literally spawn in a string.
Yeah, and it's also +4, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then Pass-Through Walls is just like the incidental breaker hate and, extra insurance when you don't have hacker. And then the 6 check is nice too. I had 2 in here before and just for space cut it to 1.
Sure.
Before I do attacks, this is just 2 Sugar Rush. I mean, if you have this, you can't really use it turn 2 usually, but turn 3 and on, it's just absolutely insane. So building twice and then starting a string with a Sugar Rush and then looking at top 4, it's very, very hard for a lot of decks to beat.
Oh yeah, it's also very, very hard for you to not just pass every card in your string.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a good high block, and sometimes you flip something too.
Sometimes you play against Ochako.
Yes, yeah. So that's it for the actions, the attacks. I mean, this card is really great. I love throwing it out on turn 2 because at most you're really... I mean, I do run some 2 checks, as you'll see, but typically you're only committing 1 if you check an attack, and then you can look and selectively draw something and build out, like, without worrying about it, which is really nice. And then, like, the 6 damage matters a lot, too, especially in the first game.
Yeah, it feels like really, really free poke and as like a 7 mid 6.
Yeah. These did come out a lot. I'm citing D-Spheres, and these were typically what came out for D-Spheres, and that was especially prominent in the mirror, because I played 3 Rodans today, and in the mirror, I felt like the extra speed, it was just a much more annoying poke, even if it only did 1 damage.
Oh, for sure. And they both draw cards, right? So
Yeah. So these are typically what I side out. And then, we are running all mids, so this card is incredible. Having multiple speed pumps, both with its card pool enhance and then Rodan as well, gives you like ways to kind of get around resets and speed reduction and stuff by like picking one and then having them expect you to do the other and then passing. Things like that really come up a lot. And then obviously this sets up great for focused attack, which we also run. Big Fist Bash. This is at 3 copies. Couldn't really decide if it's 2 or 3, but 3 felt really good today. This lets you set the top card of your discard with the discard 2 cards enhanced, which is really nice. You can see a 6 with Rodan, stack it, and then play this as your 4th attack on a 6 and flip the 6, which is insane. With Big Fist Bat or with Double Jumbo, this is a 5 mid 7 before Rodan, which is really great too. People just don't respect this card for some reason. If your opponent is playing on these symbols and you don't really need no momentum, until you have confirmed that this is not in their deck, you should not be keeping momentum. Like, the difference in this card hitting for 3 versus like 8 or 9 or 7 to 9 damage is just ridiculous.
Don't worry, we will release that tip after Top Cut.
Yeah. But it just happened a lot where people would keep like a 5 damage attack or a 5 difficulty attack and get hit for like 8 or 9.
Yes, just on accident.
Yes. Yeah, we're running focused attack. This also helps the all symbol a ton with deadlock, and that's another reason why we're on the all mids. I feel like, Without a Vision is obviously a very good card, but this deck already has so much speed, and the ability to just selectively commit hate pieces means that you're really not allowed to go to deadlock against this deck unless you have things like Icy Blade or what's the Hawks Foundation number something pro hero.
Yeah, and like surprising skill, but even then you're getting 1 back.
Yeah.
Also, it's like super potent in that it doesn't take them out of deadlock. Like there are deadlock destroy foundations, and this one's just commit, right? So it's like really valuable in that regard.
And you can rebuy any of these with Big Fist Bash. So in deadlock, just playing this first, picking it up, and then playing it later in the string is just
And as we'll see with your 2 check, you can kind of just like build that into your attack string arbitrarily.
Yeah, running a Dragon Strike and 2 Tron Hunter. These are kind of like primarily block tricks, but they come up. This is like the 4th split body control, but it also has deadlock on it technically. And then this is a card people always have to respect, and sometimes
they don't.
You just read that they don't have a reset too, and throw it out, and it's for 15 or whatever. So, and then the 2 check, which got added last week because I asked Mitch about Spirit Gun
Final.
And Mitch was like, "Oh, that card's really good," and then was talking about Phil running this card, and then that got me thinking about this card, and I'm like, "Wait, what if I did run 2 checks in my supersonic flight, my 4/3 difficulty foundation deck?
What if I was crazy?" Yeah. You were like, "Is Spirit Gun Final good in this deck, do you think?" And I said, "Yeah, for sure, I think so." And I was like talking about why this card was good, and then you were like, "You were describing Spirit Gun Mega, but I will be right back."
Yeah, so this card, I mean, if you have a supersonic flight in hand, is a 10 mid 7 that picks up whatever you want from your discard, draws 1 and then draws 2. The 2/2 checks don't matter a ton. You have to be a bit careful on your first turn building, but if you're going second, you don't have to worry about it quite as much. I don't really build supersonic flight in this deck if I can help it. I try and discard it to stuff or fail a block with it and then leave it on top of discard and remove. But this card, honestly, turn 2, you can check a 3 on this and commit 3 and still just build out and be fine if your opponent is not equipped to block it.
Yeah, because you just generate 4 cards, like, arbitrarily.
In the late game, this card also just says, if you have 1 in discard, I'm going to play this one, I'm going to pick up this one, I'm going to check
Confirm
to make
your
sure
check.
I only commit 2 and then play this. And these are also powerful 4. So
Yeah.
there's just so many good pieces of this card that help with this deck. And yeah, I'm really glad I added it. So
Yeah,
thank
it's
you
super
for the
sick.
misunderstanding.
No, I was going to say, no problem. Thank Phil Birch for
Yes.
for being the man that we need.
Yeah. So then side deck. I think I mentioned this already. The one in fast.
Yeah, the second copy.
These are just, you know,
Makes sense.
They're hand traps. Like,
Yes, must block Wolf, must block this attack.
Toga's everywhere. This card is fantastic against Deception Dagger. It's
Yes.
good against Armor of the Wolf and Amajiki.
First attack, Deception Dagger against Toga, dealing 0 damage is so important. Like, it's crazy.
3D spheres, these came in all the time to the point that I almost wished I made them, but the problem is the attack lineup is so tight. I was talking about this with my friend Kalvin earlier, and I kind of realized that, like, I would rather just have these in game 2 and 3 than 1, but they are nearly good enough to main. Like, they're fantastic against throws, they're really great pokes. Like, in Rodan, this is just like an 8 or 9 speed 1 that says if you don't block it, I'm going to draw 2 and then throw something in my discard.
Fair.
Fantastic card. Almost always switched out multiple bites for this card. And then this was something I was kind of testing today, and it was primarily to help with Byakko, honestly, because Byakko has a lot of non-character enhances that are very, very troublesome for this deck, like Thunderous Roar,
Yes.
Double Overhead, and stuff like that. So I wasn't in love with it, but I think that it's good enough, and it also helps you fight things like Referee, Jury, and Barrier Shield and stuff like that. So overall, I think I'm still happy that I included it. And then the last piece is Spirit Glass. This typically only came in going first, but this card, every time I activated it, they died that turn.
Yeah. I think Barlow was playing, like, your list bar for bar with the exception of, like, 2 or 3 cards, and he said that this card was the fucking. Not his words, but, you know.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Overall, the deck ran fantastically. The only loss I had was a game 2 where I actually just missed +1 damage and left him at 1 health. So,
Oops.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the bracket would have been different, but it felt fantastic in testing. It felt fantastic playing today, and hopefully Top Cut goes well tomorrow.
Yeah,
So.
it was sick. I genuinely think you have the best Rodan list in the room. But any other shout-outs?
I mean, you know, all a gaming giant, you guys know, you are. You know, Tam and the grind and everything. Really appreciate all the help, but that's pretty much it.
Hell yeah. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.